everybody, and welcome to my review of Suicide Squad number 4, an issue written by Tom Taylor with art by Daniel Sempari. And this book is not selling well, which is a shame. It's very good. I like it a lot. I know that some people may be thrown off by this new team. You still have Harley and Deadshot on the team, but the rest of the Suicide Squad are all new characters. They're all characters that Tom Taylor created. You also don't have Amanda Waller. You have a guy named Locke that's involved. And so when you're going into this book, because they're new characters and we don't know them, there is a mystery to it. There's also the wild card that they could end up dying, which is something that the Suicide Squad books have lacked since the New 52 at least. So you get that wild card, and we have seen some characters, including some actual, not big characters, D-list characters in the DCU die, like a Cavalier. But yeah, I like that the stakes are there. You end up having a new team that we are learning progressively as we go. Maybe it's taking Tom Taylor a little too long to get people the information about these characters. And I say that because everything I learn about them as we go makes me like them more. And I want this book to sell. I want people to enjoy this book. It is a fun book. It can be a jokey book at points. But what I love about Tom Taylor, a lot of people say that he's the guy who kills people. Oh my, he did Injustice with an evil Superman killing people. He did Deceased, zombies killing people. Where Tom Taylor hits the most for me, and really did in that year one of Injustice, and is starting to actually do it in the Unkillables Deceased, is he makes me love characters that I never even thought I would love, didn't care about before, but he makes you fall in love with characters through snappy dialogue, jokey dialogue, but it's dialogue that serves the purpose of getting behind and falling in love with these characters. Then he kills them, and then he breaks your heart, is what usually ends up happening. But this issue even has another throwback. If you are I'm not going to say old school Suicide Squad fan, because old school can mean, 5-6 months ago fan of the Suicide Squad. You end up getting Boomerang, and Boomerang's a big thing on the Suicide Squad. And this is where I will mention Rob Williams, his run in Rebirth of Suicide Squad that some people like more than I did, where you have a Boomerang. He was a joke in that series. He ended up crapping his pants every other issue. That was the joke. And the joke of crapping your pants, it didn't really lead to you respecting the character or liking him more. I wanted to keep a wide berth. I don't like adults who crap their pants because they're having problems there. So what Tom Taylor does here is kind of introduce Boomerang again, and he shows you that Boomerang's a badass. He is a badass. Yeah, Boomerang's all over the badass because he's there and he's having a beer. And as Digger does, he can't keep his mouth shut. So he's there, he's talking, he's bragging about Task Force X. And this is also a thing where it shows you that once somebody says Task Force X, this is, the government controlling everything, has eyes and ears everywhere, cell phones, things like that. It picks up that somebody has said Task Force X. It shows them that it is Boomerang, and now they are going to get him because he was on Suicide Squad. He ended up being able to, retire from the Task Force X after all the troubles that probably happened with Leviathan. We don't have to go that far into it, but he is no longer on the squad. But one of the stipulations is it's Fight Club. Suicide Squad, first rule, you don't talk about Suicide Squad. And he did. And the military show up. They end up sending these guys there. This squad shows up to get him. And again, these are trained military guys who show up. Boomerang has a beer and he throws boomerangs. He kills them all. They're all dead. He is a badass. You forget that because he is often treated as a joke. He's no joke. And you'll see that by the end as well, because now the Suicide Squad has to go and get him. And the setup is, let's gather everyone around. Zebra Man, he's going to do his little force field around Locke so nobody kills him. And he tells them all, hey, everybody, you guys are going to go and get Boomerang. And, you new guys, you'll be able to surprise him. He ends up saying, hey, Boomerang has had problems with speedsters, so Jog, you'll do good. I mean, problems with speedsters is one thing. Jog, though, is not the Flash, so there might be trouble there. You also have what you find out where, hey, we're going to go get Boomerang. Osita's all for this. She's like, yeah, I'm in. We find out why later in the issue. You have Deadshot's like, I'm not going. I'm not going to be involved with this. This is bull crap. You end up have Osita like, what? We're given an order. And then Deadshot as an aside goes, hey, you following orders? No, that's odd. And this is where Harley starts to realize something is going on behind her back. But you end up then having a pretty good exchange between Locke and Deadshot that I will get back to in a minute. But the thing with Harley is an aside here where, again, Tom Taylor, one of the best writers on Harley, I think that his Harley is great. You know why? Because he writes her not as a joke, again, like Boomerang. He writes her jokey. She'll tell jokes. She'll have fun. She'll end up being a little delusional, a little wacky. But behind all that and underneath that, Tom Taylor does not forget that she is smart. She is a psychiatrist. She is somebody who has a PhD. A lot of people think that when she got thrown into that vat by the Joker, she came out a dummy. She is not a dummy. She's just a little wacky. And he uses this and uses the idea that she is a psychologist. She is somebody who can analyze things. And she's like, I know something's going on here. And it's a thread that really works out. And a lot of the things in this issue really, really work out. If you actually sit back, read it, and think of the motivations, think of why these people are in this team and things like that. And then as you learn more, it goes on to really, really make a smart issue that is kind of, hidden behind some jokes and things like that. Another reason why I love Tom Taylor, he doesn't write to be fancy. He's fancy, and then he layers it for everyone, and that's what I love. Well, you end up having the Suicide Squad have to go through Australia. That's where Boomerang is, and you end up having a road trip. They get into a van and start going, and this is where Tom Taylor, in my mind, he's going to take it back to Australia. He's going to go and say, hey, everybody has always made fun of my country. He is an Australian. You end up having a lot of things, the Simpsons Australian flag with the boot here. You end up having, that's not a knife. This is a knife. There's none of that here. You also don't have Giant Foster beer like we have, and no shrimp on the Barbie, and no Yahoo Serious. And I don't know that many people remember Yahoo Serious, but I actually liked Young Einstein and Yahoo Serious, though. There you go. The Yahoo Serious Festival not doing very well. And yes, most of my information that I've learned about Australia is basically from The Simpsons or the video The Land Down Under by Men at Work. But Tom Taylor's taking it back. He's taking it back to Australia, where he's going to make the jokes and kind of make fun of the American Harley, who doesn't understand what's going on, or even Deadshot or the reader, where you end up having a lot of little in things with him and the Australians there, but they're on a road trip. And you can imagine Harley would be a pain in the butt on a road trip. I understand. I have ADHD, severe ADHD, and so does Harley. And Harley can't sit still. Harley's stuck in a van with a bunch of people that aren't really talking. She wants to know if they're there yet. And you get Tom Taylor showing you Wink's little ability where you can teleport. She can teleport people. Just teleports Harley out of the van. And they end up like, what did you do? Where is she? Oh, it's okay. She's surrounded by wildlife right now. It ends up where she comes back and she's like, there were so many emus. But again, there's a little side. You're gaining a little bit of camaraderie even between the characters. You're seeing abilities and things like that. Well, they end up going, and one of the things that has actually, it's a little nagging issue in the back of my mind in this Tom Taylor run. Each issue, you seem to end up having a way that the squad itself gets out of range of Locke and the whole Suicide Squad deal. Bombs, like, they end up being in areas, and now this is the thing, they're going in the outback of Australia, so I can understand. But I think that there'd be something with a Task Force X that they would not allow these characters to get out of range at any point. And they'd have a range where you could make it a given that anywhere they go, they'll be in range. But they all go off, and this is where Harley keeps, it's getting to her. You're hiding something. What's up, Deadshot? You're hiding something. You're not telling me what's going on with this team here. And so to get the info that night, she ends up ethering them, ends up tying up Osita and Deadshot and says, okay, what's going on? Let me, in on what's, the deal here, because I'm smart. I'm a jokey character, but I am smart and I see something's going on. And then what you do then get is Osita's background. You get her origin. She was part of a military super soldier program. They ended up where they had a ton of people. The only ones that survived were her and her wife that she ended up marrying, two of these. And they ended up going out on missions. Unfortunately, as her life progressed in these missions, they ran into the Suicide Squad. You see a Boomerang there. Boomerang was on the team at this point and ends up doing some bad things to Osita and her wife. And so what Osita did right then and there, I am going to go and I'm going to take down the Suicide Squad. And she went and found all the other members of this team now. She recruited because each of them has had something wrong happen in their life, and it was all because of the Suicide Squad. Because the idea, and this is where it's kind of a meta thing, but it's Tom Taylor, giving the motivation is, you villains who go out on these missions, you don't care about anything and you are messy. You end up with tons of collateral damage. You're not heroes, which they know, but this is the thing. The Suicide Squad, Task Force X, is a messy thing that goes out and just puts out whatever they're doing and then leaves and never thinks about it because they're bad people and the whole thing is undercover. So they're there to pretty much say, and Osita, I'm going to get this team. They're going to be held accountable for all the crap that they did. And what ends up happening, too, is that when they get in and they're in the Suicide Squad now, she even says, we could probably kill Locke right now, but there's something bigger. But in the meantime, after this, Harley then decides, okay, I hear what you're saying. Okay, Deadshot's in. Well, I'm going to go talk to my man Deadshot here, and I'm going to decide what's going on, and I'll tell you if I want to join your squad that we're doing here. So Harley goes off, and this is where, again, this one page, Tom Taylor does so well with the funny, jokey lines, but they actually have a lot of emotion to them, and they are hard-hitting because you end up having Deadshot say, I'm going to join up with them. I don't care anymore. And he says, I've been trapped for years. I've stepped in front of aliens, God's worst, bomb inside my head. I've been lucky so far, but soon my luck will run out. And look what Locke already did. He blew up that kid very casually. And there's Harley, right? That was pretty messed up. And then Deadshot says, and Waller was a monster, but she was our monster. Yeah, how dare they take our monster away? And she's all fired up. But then again, you have her step back and say, you're feeling used and disposable even more than usual. I've been there, and sometimes it takes me too long to wake up and respond with some much deserved violence. And she's saying, I understand you. I get it. And she's doing her psychology deal. And then you have Deadshot, and you're like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of being powerless. And this is Harley, too. Harley has gotten away from the Joker, but this really is, you have Deadshot. The Suicide Squad is kind of his Joker, who has him under the thumb and have to do whatever. Harley understands this, but he says, I know I'm going to die, but I'm going to do it on my terms. And this goes back to, I think that Locke ended up really screwing himself, because earlier in that one scene where you had them all, decide if they were going to go and get Boomerang, he does end the year. He throws a year on to Deadshot's sentence, where Deadshot's like, that's against the rules. That's not right. So that continues the idea that Locke is just insane. But then he says, your daughter's 5'2" now. She's doing well in English, terrible in geography. How many years do you want to miss? And I think that ends up already showing Deadshot, I've missed too many. And I don't have anything to really live for. If I die, I'm gonna take this Suicide Squad down with me, and this Locke is gonna die. And I don't care, because even if he gets out now, I think in his mind, he's like, that ship sailed and this stinks and it's got to end. And I think that Locke really screwed himself there. Well, Harley comes back and says, hey, everybody, I'm in. And Osita's like, okay, well, why? Actually, Ares says, why would you want to be in? And she's like, I like vengeance. And Osita's like, no, that's not enough. And then she does say, and again, this is Harley showing that she's a broken character who just wants to, get back and be somebody who can control everything going on. Because she says, I have a history of being forced into bad situations. If I had $1 for every person who's taken advantage of me and manipulated me into doing things, I'd be deeply traumatized, but have a lot of money for online spending. Again, a joke, but a very personal thing for her. That's enough for Ari. And Ari's like, she's in. The whole team with these characters seem to be, if one person says yes, then they all go with it. This is not majority. This is, if anybody wants that's in, she's in, they go off then to go and get Boomerang. And they do find him. They find him in the middle of Australia in the car graveyard. And he's been there waiting. He knew they were coming. He's pretty much set up in a place that's right in the middle of nowhere, so he would know somebody's there. And so he's like, yeah, I'm not really surprised that you came, kind of hoping it would be someone other than you, saying to Deadshot, which he's showing that he kind of likes Deadshot. And you end then with some pretty bad stuff, because they go, okay, Jog, take him. And this is where Deadshot realizes, wait a second, he's had time to sit up. And again, this is a badass Boomerang, and he tries to stop him. And then you have to read it to see what happens, though. It's one of those cliffhangers that it's still up in the air till the next issue. So you end up having a full-out deal that really gives you the motivations of the team. The new characters are on the Suicide Squad to fully just destroy the city. They've all been hurt by it. You end up having Deadshot pretty much say, screw it, I'm going to die. I'm missing out on anything anyway, so I want to join up. I want to take this down, and I'll do it on my terms. And you have a Harley, again, who figures her way in and then says, I've been abused like all of you. We are a bunch of abused and broken people. Let's just get together and go. And I said, and I kind of alluded to the deal at one point, she's like, all right, let's go get Locke. And Osita, we could take down Locke right now, which shows that they have a little more going on. She says there's more. We're going to get who is above him. And we've seen there is somebody that actually a couple issues back shocked Locke as if he has his own brain bomb. So overall with that, I thought the art by Daniel Semperi was awesome. I thought it was great. The writing, again, it's really smart. It's really well done. It's done in a way that subtly makes you chuckle as you're falling in love with the characters and learning about them. I beg people to read this book and just give it a try. Don't let anything that you're thinking, oh, well, look at this and that, and this is that type of character that I don't like, or I'm going to protest this or whatever, because you're going to miss out on a very fun book, a book that, in my mind, is one of the better team books, if not one of the better books at DC right now. It feels fresh. It feels fun. You end up with a dark Suicide Squad book that actually is one of the more fun books and the lighter of all the books, even as people get their arms cut off and things like that. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 on the site. I gave it an 8.5. As I end up reading this more, I like it more. I do. And I just beg people to read it, give it a shot. But that is it. That is it for a longer review. I didn't think that was going to be this long, but hey, I hope you liked it. I hope that you enjoyed listening to me talk about it. Go and get it. And yeah, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, like it below. You can comment in the comment section if you're not reading the book and have any questions or comments. If you want to tell me why you don't like it, if you did, whatever, we can argue in a sane kind of civilized way, like people used to argue when, you'd argue to somebody in their face and they'd punch you in the face. That's the civilized way, actually. And that's weird nowadays that is actually, in my mind, the civilized way to do things. But there's also in the description of the video, There'll be links to all the things Weird Science podcast, websites, DC, Marvel, our Patreon, where you can support us for all that we do, all that stuff. So check that out. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you later.